All right, morning, y'all. So here we are, ducking into yet another woodland. I don't know why I keep coming back to these. I'm no Simon Baxter. I think it's like a heroin addiction. A few weeks ago, I got some really great photographs on Odin Island that I was super happy, super proud of. And I haven't pulled another great woodland photograph since. Chasing that high. No matter. I'm off the couch, I'm out of the house, and I'm enjoying the outdoors. So I'm coming out with zero expectations and just enjoying the moment, enjoying being in the woods. If I get a great photo, I get a great photo. If the camera never comes out of the bag, the camera never comes out of the bag. So I'm not that upset that I haven't been getting great photos. I was for a minute, but I've really I've let that go to just enjoy the process of photography. Because it's good practice. Whether I take a great photo, it's still good practice. So, anywho. So I'm going to spend the morning on this trail just to see what I can see. There is a natural spring on this trail, which is what I'm hunting for. Just to see what's there, see if there's anything worth photographing. This evening, however, I'm going to take it a little easier on myself, and I'm going to drive the coastline and get some more expansive landscapes rather than continuing to frustrate myself in the woodlands, because again, I am no Simon Baxter, but we will endeavor to persevere. The other reason why I came out this morning is because there was fog in the forecast. It was supposed to be low-lying fog. You see any fog? I don't see any fog. All I see is gray-ass skies. Sometimes you don't get what you want, and you get what you get, and you make do, and you make the best of it. The other thing I've been pondering is, where am I going with these videos? The last few videos I've made, they've been stretched few and far between because I don't feel like I have any real direction with where I'm going with this channel. Much of it has just really been kind of a stream of consciousness of me working through my process, which is fine for me. I don't mind that because this is really just a documentation of what I'm doing with my photography. But how useful is it to you? So I've been thinking about that, and I'm thinking about going into a more structured format, because I spend a lot of time watching other YouTube photographers, and I've quite frankly learned a lot about landscape photography. I've been a photographer for 20 years. I have been a landscape photographer for less than one. So I've learned a significant amount about landscape photography and about composition from other YouTube photographers. And I've been applying some of those lessons in my work. I don't want to regurgitate what those other guys are doing and giving the same advice. But at the same time, this channel needs some manner of structure. I'll find it. Maybe the structure is just this stream of consciousness, demonstration of individual growth, if that's a thing that people want to watch, which I don't think that is actually the case. I don't think that's what people want to watch, because most of my videos are getting less than 100 views, and like every third or fourth video will get 500 or 600, and I don't understand what the draw is to those particular videos, because I don't really have much feedback from y'all, which I get it. You know, if you're not so moved to comment, you're not so moved to comment. But I digress. I need to quit yapping on about my video making and pay attention to what I'm doing out here. This is actually kind of a nice spot, but the conditions are, the ambient conditions aren't all that fantastic. I mean, I like these. I like the cattails here. There's a little creek running through here. Sunrise is about another 20 minutes off, and you know we're just now getting that first light. So, and the fog's not here. This may just be another one of my endless scouting trips where I don't get any photographs. After a while, you know, when you're not getting the conditions that you seek, it can chew away at you. But boy, when those conditions do come together, See, now this I like. I don't know if this shot is wide enough, but straight down that trail where the trail just kind of disappears into darkness, I like that dark spot right there. I don't like anything around it though. Anyway, this just might be just a nice walk in the woods. I've got about an hour and a half to walk this 2.5 mile trail, and I have some errands to run, and if it warms up enough, I'm gonna get my ass out on my motorcycle today. It's supposed to hit 40. If it hits 40, I'll get the bike out. Ride for a couple of hours and then take off along the coast and see if there's any fruit to be born there. I have a feeling that there is, because I've driven up and down it the last couple of days, and I've spotted a couple of locations where there's a couple of shots that I want to take. But I keep torturing myself and coming back to these damn woodlands. Well, maybe that's the the advice I'm giving. If you suck, keep trying, because eventually you won't suck so bad. Well, I found our spring. You can barely see any water moving in it. This isn't super photogenic. Maybe in the spring. Right now, this melt off. It's not pretty. It's not pretty at all. I think I might have some potential here. Spin you around here. You probably can't see it because the shot is too wide, but right there, it's a squiggly little tree. I think maybe the 70 to 200 from here. I left the 1 to 400 at home, so let's get the shot set up and I'll show you in camera. So there's the shot we got set up. I'm on that little squiggly tree right there. Oh, I don't know if that's gonna be too bright for you to see. Maybe I can turn this down when I edit. But I really like the shape of this tree, so I'm really tight on it, and I'm dialed out to 200 millimeters, and I'm shooting it at f.28 so that everything else is out of focus. And there's a tree right here, right next to it, that, you know, I can't compose away. So f2.8 puts him out of focus, and it really tries to make this shape the star of the show. Now, the other thing that I'm doing today that is not typically part of my process is I'm actually using my damn histogram. For years and years and years, I never really bothered with the histogram. I think, all right, whatever, there's information there that I don't care about because I can see what's on the back of the screen. But the back of the screen doesn't always tell you the truth. And it's a tiny screen. So I've been paying more attention to my histograms, but I've been paying attention to the histograms after I get home and get the pictures off. That's when I finally take a look at my histograms. But now I'm doing it as I'm shooting, because what I found was the photos that I was able to do more with had a proper histogram, but the pictures that I was attracted to when I looked at the back of the camera were either too dark. Most of the time they were too dark because I lean towards darkness. But if it looks overexposed on the back of the camera, or not overexposed, but looks brighter than I like on the back of the camera, it's got a proper histogram, which means it has more details and more information. So I'm adding this extra step to my process. I will still always lean towards the darkness, but if I preserve the details of my highlights, I can always bring the darkness back in post-process. But I'm going to have a less noisy image. So anyway, maybe that's a bit of advice that I could be passing on to a new photographer. Pay attention to your histograms. I guess first you got to learn what your histogram is all about. Maybe we'll talk about that a little later. But yeah, first shot of the day, and it only took me an hour to do it. So I think part of my issues with finding compositions and my struggles has had to do with the amount of time I give myself to find compositions. My typical process is to head out and get to my location within an hour of sunset or within 20 or 30 minutes of sunrise. And I find myself getting to that location and rushing to try to find something worth photographing. It is currently about 2:30 in the afternoon. Sunset today is 10 minutes till 6. That is plenty of time to find myself a composition. And I came out, when I left the house, there were just dead bluebird skies. And now I'm here on the coastline and there's some clouds rolling in. So the conditions are just changing with the wind. But regardless, I got 4 stinking hours to find something worth photographing. And my plan right now is to just walk up and down the coast, take my time, and find something worth photographing. If I find it an hour before sunset, then I'm gonna set up my composition, I'm gonna fine tune it, and I'm going to find the patience to wait for the light, to wait for the right time to take that. But coming out here, you know, when I left, like I said, when I left the house, there were just bluebird skies, and I was thinking, well, maybe I'd apply some of that advice that Henry Turner gave this week when shooting under, you know, clear blue skies, and shoot in black and white and bring a polarizer and all of those things he's said. So where I'm standing is a location that I photographed a couple times, but every time I've come here, I've pretty much stayed here within just a couple hundred yards. But now I'm going to walk this coast. I'm gonna walk a mile that way. If I don't find anything, I'm gonna walk a mile that way. But we'll find something. Whether it's any good or not has yet to be seen, but by God, we've given ourselves the time to do it. So according to my little sun tracking device here, the sun is going to be setting that way. So I think we need to walk around this bend here and see if we can't find a composition to the north. All right, off we go. Here's a little bit of a treat. The water level here is really, really low. It's never, I've never been able, I've been to this location on many occasions, but I've never stood on this solid rock here. The water level is really, really, really low. This is usually covered, and all we see are the the loose rock up there. This reminds me of Maine. I mean, if it were Maine, it'd be, you know, taller cliffs, but this very much reminds me of Maine. Well, we're certainly not going to let that go to waste. I think we'll find a composition here using this here as our foreground, and maybe those rocks out there as our background element. Yeah, I think so. Sky is offering us a little bit of interest up there. We'll see what the polarizer can do about that. Yeah, I think we're going to set up right here. Alrighty, so here's the shot we've got ourselves set up on. That rock right there is our foreground element, and you can see how close it is to the camera. And you got all of this curve around out through the water and into the rocks. I've never focus stacked a day in my life. I've never done it. But the only way this image is going to work, is if I learn something new. So I'm gonna take probably 5 or 6 photos focused at different spaces. I'm shooting at f/16. This lens only goes down to f/22. I don't want to soften the image by being all the way down. So we're shooting at f/16. I'm going to focus on the rock. I'm going to focus halfway between the foreground and the midground. I'm going to focus on the midground, and then halfway between the mid and the background, and then focus on the background. Like I said, I've never focus stacked before, so I ain't afraid of gun smoke. You know, after I finished up that shot, I just stood here among these rocks and listened to the waves and just enjoyed the quiet and the solitude. I forgot I was actually out here taking pictures. So, in the interim, we've lost the color of our sky, and it's gone back to muddy gray. There's little touches of blue where the sun's trying to peek out, and if you look at the sun over there, I'm looking straight at it, and it's just a ball in the sky, and it's not hurting my eyes to look at it. I don't know if we're gonna get that back before sunset, but I found 2 more compositions just among these rocks. We haven't left. And as I'm standing here, there's a touch of fog starting to roll in. The temperature's coming down. Well, the GoPro battery just shit the bed. So as I was saying, if you look out here, you can see just hints of fog starting to come back in. It's up in the tops of the trees. It's not down low. The temperature's falling. So I don't think we're going to get that sunshine back before sunset. You know, we come around this way. I don't know if you can see it as much on the camera, but there's fog moving in. So I might have to change gears and shoot something else, because I don't think the shot that I've got set up is going to pan out. But I am glad that I did come out here with plenty of time to hang out and wait for the sunset, because if I would have stuck to my modus operandi, I would have come out here, rushed a shot, got something, and then left, and I wouldn't be here for these changing conditions. I mean, look at behind me here. Yeah, it's fog's rolling in. So where I'm at, see, the sun is actually going to set right there. So no matter what I do, we're not going to see the sun touch the water from here, and I don't have time to walk all the way over there. That's about 3 miles away. Well, the fog's moving in pretty damn quick, and I abandoned my idea out there with the rocks in favor of what's not there anymore. What was there, and you can just barely make out, is a grouping of trees beyond those rocks. You can see them a hell of a lot better through the iPhone than I can with my eyes. So looking at the back of the camera, come on, bring it back, bring it back. It's just not there. So we are going to exercise a little bit of patience and wait for it to come back, because I rather enjoyed that composition. Actually, I kind of like this here. But anyway, we got the 70 to 200 on there, and I am dialed out to just about 100 millimeters for this shot. And it came in quick. I mean, you started seeing just a tiny little bit of it, and I had days to get set up for this shot, and then once I had her all dialed in, wham, gone, absolutely gone. Can't see shit over there now. Well, I've given it about 15 minutes, and that fog has only gotten thicker. So I think we're probably going to hang it up on this particular composition, because there ain't nothing to see over there. I mean, you look, straight out there is where we're dialed in, and there's just nothing to see there except for these few rocks here. Now, those rocks are interesting. I'm going to take a walk over there and see if I can't pick out a minimalist composition out of that fog. But, you know, not from here. I'm going to move further down the coastline. But we're not done here yet. We're not done. We got sunset is another hour off yet. Given these thick-ass foggy conditions, I don't think there's going to be much blue light shooting. But we're not hanging it up yet. I am having too good a time, which is a stark contrast from this morning, and I was just filled with frustration and dread. My ennui has been lifted, and largely I believe that is due to the fact that I've given myself enough time to get out here and actually work rather than rush. I am a retired stay-at-home dad. I don't have to rush. I can get out here and give my photography the time it deserves. But the time my photography deserves is down to about an hour, so I'm gonna go ahead and put you away and see if I can find another composition before we run out of daylight. The fog, sure as hell, is not letting up. It is still pea soup out there. Actually, that looks kind of nice. I might do a tight shot of that. So, got ourselves another composition here. I'm gonna spin you around so you can have a look. My subject is this big rock right here, and I'm using a couple of these other ones back here. I'll let you down here and take a look at the back of the camera. I'm just using this rock, and I'm shooting at f8, nice and tight, so this is crisp, clear, and in focus. Everything back here is starting to fall off, because I really want this shot to be about solitude. You know, that sense of being alone. You know, that big rock is separated from all the others in the fog. And I think that conveys that. So I'm set up in this portrait aspect, or portrait orientation, and I'm envisioning a square crop. So all of this blank sky up here will be cropped out of the shot, When I'm done with that, I'm going to set it into a a landscape orientation and do the whole rule of thirds thing. But I'm going to continue working that, and if it doesn't suck, here it is. And here's our portrait orientation of the same scene. And I can get in here without getting too much reflection. Probably not. And for both shots, I ended up throwing on an 8-stop variable neutral density filter as well as the circular polarizer. And if that shot didn't suck, here it is. I personally am leaning towards the landscape orientation, but I'd love to hear what you think in the comments below. And I think that's probably be a good spot to stop for the day. I've got some good shots that I'm very happy with. I think the big takeaway for today is give yourself time to do your work. There's no more to say than that. Give yourself time to do your work. See you soon.